Google Performance Max. What on earth is it? Does it work? What are the pros? What are the cons? That's everything I'm going to be covering in today's video. So let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, so this is actually going to be the first in a two-part series where in this video, I'm specifically just going to go over what the heck Performance Max actually is, who should be trying it, who should be avoiding it, so on and so forth. And then in the next video, I'm going to be talking about and showing how to build a Performance Max campaign from beginning to end. There's way too much to cover all in one video, so that's why I'm splitting it into two. All right, so let's first get into what the heck Google Performance Max is. So Google Performance Max is a style of campaign that allows you to run on all of Google's placements. So if you've been running meta ads or seen any of my videos about meta ads, you'll know that when you're building your meta ads campaign, I tell everyone, 99% of the time, you want to be running an all placements campaign. So what does that mean? When you're in Meta and you're running all placements, it means you're showing up in desktop, it means you're showing up in mobile, it means you're showing up in the newsfeed, both on Facebook and on Instagram. It means you're showing up in Reels, in Stories, on the right-hand column for desktop, for Meta. You are showing up absolutely everywhere. And that is the default setting for Meta. And again, that's what I recommend for what you do when you're setting up your Meta campaigns. Now, with Google Performance Max, you can think of that as Google's version of all placements. So Google, having been around longer than Meta has in terms of an advertising platform, has always had a bunch of different placements. Obviously, it's most known for its search placement, where you go in there, you type in a search, and you see the ads that come up at the very top. But it also has YouTube, it also has Gmail, it also has Google Display. So there are lots and lots of different areas in where your ads can appear somewhere within the Google network of platforms. So previously, if you wanted to appear in all of those placements, you had to create separate campaigns for each and every single one. Now, obviously for the vast majority of advertisers, unless you have a very large team, then that was just inconvenient and just not possible for so many advertisers. So then what Google did is that, hey, let's go ahead and put together a style campaign that runs along all of our placements. So as opposed to having to create a separate search campaign, separate YouTube campaign, separate display campaign, separate Gmail campaign, separate whatever other placement that Google has campaign, now everything, all of your assets, all of your targeting, all of your parameters, all of your search terms can be placed into one campaign. And then Google, knowing everything that they do about everyone out there, which is a lot of data, by the way, they'll go out and push your ads to the right placements, to the right people at the right time. That is what it is. And it surely simplifies the process for the vast majority of advertisers. All right, cool. So now that you know what Google Performance Max is, it sounds pretty cool. And yes, to a degree, it is. That does not mean it is a perfect style campaign. It certainly has its flaws. And the main flaw for this style campaign is that it's very much a black box, meaning you supply Google with all of your campaign assets, and then all of your trust and hopes and dreams are placed in Google's hands. And it's very difficult to go back and be able to optimize a Performance Max campaign. So if you launch a Performance Max campaign and you're not getting the results that you are hoping for, it's very difficult to know or make tweaks to try to get the performance that you are trying to achieve. Now, they are making some changes to this. Back in June of 2025, they did just release a beta for some accounts, so this is not available on all accounts yet, but for some accounts, you can start to see the impression placements for your Performance Max campaign. So maybe it sends 1,000 impressions over to search and 500 impressions over to YouTube, so on and so forth. So you can finally actually start to see where your ads are being shown, how often, all that kind of stuff. But in the end, it's still very difficult. So let's say you see that a lot of money is going to YouTube, but you don't see a lot of conversions coming from there. What type of video should you be running on there? Should it be a shorter video, longer video, basic video filmed on your camera, more polished, whatever it might be? It's very, very difficult to try to figure out, okay, what is it do I need to do to feed this campaign so that it can start running extremely well? Unlike Meta, where I was making the comparison of the all placements, there oftentimes it is a lot easier to make some changes and optimizations because, for example, if you are seeing that you're getting a lot of impressions in the Reels placement, but you're not getting conversions, well, guess what? You don't necessarily have to try to test new videos that will work well in the Reels placement. All you can do is just get rid of the Reels placement. So you run everywhere else, but you exclude Reels, and then oftentimes your campaign can perform well in that regard. You can't do that with Performance Max. You always have to be running on all the placements. And so again, this just makes it very difficult and challenging in order to run a Performance Max campaign. Now, interestingly enough, not everyone actually is excited about the fact that you are soon going to be able to, and for some of you might already be able to do this, but soon be able to see where your spend and impressions are going with a Performance Max campaign. For those strong Performance Max advocates, they always felt that the black box, the mysterious nature of the Performance Max campaign is what allowed it to generate results. Now that we're going to be able to see where spend is going, all that kind of stuff, it's going to make us marketers want to make tweaks and changes. And so some fear that those constant changes and tweaks are always going to reset the campaign, and therefore it's never going to be able to deliver results for you. Whether or not that is true, I don't know. We're obviously going to find out as time moves on. I tend to believe that it is a good thing that we are getting more information in 99% of all scenarios when it comes to marketing. The more information you have, the better choices you can make. So I find it hard to believe it would be any different here, but like I said, we'll obviously find out and see. Okay, so is Performance Max correct or the right style of campaign for all businesses? There is an emphatic yes and no for this one right here. So when it comes to marketing, right, there's the famous saying, it depends, right? When you ask a question, well, should you do this? It depends. And should you do that? It depends. Here though, I can emphatically say that this is a great option for some businesses and a terrible option for other businesses. So if you are a lead generation business and that is all you do with your campaigns, whether you're running ads on Google, Meta, Pinterest, LinkedIn, whatever it might be, if you are in the lead gen space, you need to avoid Performance Max campaigns at all costs. It is a terrible option for lead generation. And the reason for that is because when you're telling it to get leads for you, it's automatically going to try to get you the most leads at the cheapest price possible, which you might be saying, hey, that's a good thing, right? And yes, sort of, it is a good thing. The issue comes that when it comes to Google Network, the cheapest placement where you're going to get the highest volume of leads for the lowest cost is the display network. And having been running Google ads, actually even longer than I've been running Meta ads, I can tell you that Google display leads are terrible, absolutely terrible quality, garbage. You will get nothing good from them. And so because the goal of the campaign is to get as many leads as possible, as cheaply as possible, it's going to push 99% of your budget over to Google Display. It's going to ignore search, it's going to ignore YouTube, and it's just going to focus on Google Display. That's going to bring in low quality leads, people who will likely never ever buy from you. So you're just going to throw your money away. If there was an option to exclude the display network, I think that would be a good option to test a Performance Max campaign. But since that is not possible, I highly urge you and implore you, actually save your money. If you are doing lead gen, do not run a Performance Max campaign. On the flip side, if you are running a purchase campaign, then you are a good candidate for a Performance Max campaign, because now you're telling the algorithm something completely different. You're not asking it for something that is free. You're telling the algorithm, I need buyers. I need people to come over to this web page and buy something from me. So the entire parameter and the way the algorithm views that objective changes. So then it's going to push your budget to the high quality placements, such as search, such as YouTube, such as Google Shopping, if you happen to be an e-commerce company, and that's where your actual buyers will be coming from. So again, if you're an e-commerce business, if you're selling a low ticket item, even if you're in the coaching or course creator space, you certainly can run a Performance Max campaign using the purchase objective, because again, the algorithm will shift, it will get in front of the high quality people in the high quality placements, and it could potentially get you some good results. That being said, if you do have a purchase campaign and you are interested in running a Performance Max campaign, I wouldn't start with a Performance Max campaign. In the vast majority of scenarios, you're going to get better results from your Performance Max campaign if your account already has some data in there, some purchase data specifically. So if you've been running a search campaign or a Google Shopping campaign and you've been getting purchases for a number of months, at that point, it is a good opportunity to go ahead and test a Performance Max campaign, because it'll take that historical account data, apply it to the Performance Max campaign, and hopefully get you some good results that way. If you start completely brand new, it's going to take a long time for the Performance Max campaign to be able to find the right people and get you a good amount of purchases. Now, at the same time, as with so many things in marketing, there are no universal truths. I have seen someone launch a Performance Max campaign, purchase campaign right out of the gates as the very first thing, and it has performed phenomenally well for them, but that is the exception, not the norm. In 99% of scenarios, I think it is much better to already have some previous account history prior to launching your Performance Max campaign. Also, especially because, and we'll get this in part 2 of the video series next week when we build a Performance Max campaign from scratch, you'll see that one of the things that you can add in there, and I highly recommend you do this, is purchase data from a email list, right? So you download all your buyers, you upload it into your Performance Max campaign, and it's gonna have some really good quality data to build off of and go find some new customers for you. Really quick, before we move on, I did want you to know that if you are in need of professional help with your ads management, well, you are in luck. Look no further than me and my team. We are currently taking on new clients, and we have packages for all sorts of businesses, whether you're a small business with a small budget or a big business with a big budget. We have something that will make sense for where you are at in your business journey. So I have a link below, but the way it works is you go down there, you book a call, we'll hop on a call, we'll speak to each other one-on-one, we'll figure out where your business is at, what your specific goals are, and then we'll put together a package that makes sense for you and your journey, where you are at right now, so that you can get to the point where you are spending a lot of money because you are an extremely successful business. Like I said, I'll have that in the description below. Go ahead and check it out. All right, so now that we have covered a lot of topics around Performance Max, the last thing I want to go over is, what is the end game right here? Is Google's objective to be able to just have everyone run a Performance Max campaign in the future and nothing else? And the answer to that is yes. Actually, in having spoken with several Google reps, they're constantly pushing the Performance Max campaign. You talk to anyone from over at Google, the number one thing they tell you, oh, you got to launch a Performance Max campaign. You got to launch a Performance Max campaign. Now, again, if you're doing lead generation, say no 100% of the time. If you have a purchase campaign, again, think about it. It may be a good fit for you. But even for businesses that are running purchase campaigns, such as e-commerce, for some of my clients, we're still not exclusively doing Performance Max campaigns. Again, it has its limits. So for example, if you are an e-commerce business and you know historically that the vast majority of your purchases come from Google Shopping campaigns, and you launch a Performance Max campaign, you're not going to max out your opportunities on the shopping placements. So if you do want to max out your opportunities, you still want to have a shopping campaign in there. So it's always going to be, I think, an option for you. I never think we're going to get to a point where this is all you have to do, just one simple campaign, set it and forget it, and then that's all there is to it. That is Google's objective. I just don't think they're gonna actually ever get there. Getting to that point, it's just far, far too difficult. And again, we can use Meta as an example. Meta has had all placements since the very beginning, and it's not just like we can create one all placements campaign and then poof, set it, forget it, we're all done. Easy work. There's always work that we have to be doing on our end, and so because of the limitations in terms of the data and what we can actually do and modifications with the Performance Max campaign, I just find it hard to believe that we're going to get to a point where it's the only thing that we need to be running moving forward. It would be convenient, I'm not gonna lie, it would make our lives a lot easier, but I just don't think we're ever actually going to get to that point. All right, so that's it on the background of Performance Max, what it is, what it's not, who it's good for, who it's bad for, all that kind of stuff. In next week's video, we are going to build a Performance Max campaign from beginning to end, so be sure to tune into that one. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, if you have any questions about this topic or any other topic that I cover on the channel, just let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next time.